Okay, today we'll be talking about interfaces. So, what is the actual need of interface and how they are used in Java, okay, and how they're going to help us in our coding, in our projects that we are going to discuss today. So, yeah, basically, interface looks like a class, but it's just a specification, it's a set of rules which define a specification and it doesn't have any implementation of its own. Now, what do we mean by implementation? Whenever we talk to a class and if we say class dot do this, that means we are invoking a method of a class. At that point of time, what happens? Then it is assumed that this method is actually having a body, some sort of logic written in that method, okay, inside the class. But when we talk about interfaces, the interface, they just have the class, sorry, the structure of a class, like what we call it class body. Similar class body will be available in interface, which we call the interface body. But within the body in the class, if you're talking about the class body, we have certain methods, and the methods, they have their own body, they have the logic how the methods should work. But in case of interfaces, we have the interface body. Within the body, we have certain interface methods, but they don't have any logic, they don't have a body. So we're going to look at some of the examples. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to create a new Java class project. So I'm going to talk about interface example. Project already exists. Fine. So I think we have already discussed. Great. Okay, we have already discussed about this interface. So let me take you to that again. Okay, fine. So this is an interface. You can see this looks like a class, the name of a class. It used to be same as the name of the file. You can see bank account is the name of file, bank account.java. It's very similar to classes, and the structure is also similar, public interface bank account. Only the change is this interface keyword. Earlier it used to be class, now it's an interface. So what are the changes once we say a Java class or java.java file is having this keyword public interface? Then what happens to this entity? What happens to this bank account? So this bank account will have all the things similar to a class, except it won't have any implementation of its own. Like if you want to see, it has a method called withdraw. It tells you what type of data it is going to accept and what it is going to return. It doesn't return anything, so we have said it's a void return type. It's going to be public void. Name of the method is going to be withdraw, and it's going to accept a double parameter. That's the specification, but it doesn't have any body. Similarly, we have another method called public void deposit. It's accepting a double amount deposit. That's it, nothing else. So it can have certain parameters which belongs to this interface scope. So they're available just within this interface scope. But as we have made them specifically public, so they can be accessed. This variable can be accessed from outside the interface as well. One more thing, the interface can never be created, can never be instantiated, because to create or to instantiate a class, to create an object or to instantiate a class, we need to have a constructor. If we don't have anything, then we call it default constructor. So interfaces, they don't have any implementation of their own. So even the constructor is not available within interfaces. So interface can never be created. That can never be loaded into memory. Like its object cannot be created. So what we need, how to access this interface, like it's going to be waste. All this code that we have written, that's not going to be used anyway. If you don't want to create the object, if it can't create any object of this interface, then it's a waste time. So what we need to do right now is we are going to take the benefit of inheritance. What we are going to do now is we're going to fill in the blanks that this interface has created. This interface has a method withdraw with certain specification, but it doesn't have the logic. It doesn't have the logic written. Now we're going to give him the logic by extending, okay, or by implementing the behaviors. So we're going to implement this bank account in a class, and the class is going to have its own constructor, the class will have its own methods and all, But when we say this class is implementing the bank account, now the bank account interface is inherited into the class. Okay, to do that, we can take the example of savings bank account. We have already created that example. So we're going to take the example of saving bank account. Okay, see, this is the class that we have created, saving bank account, and we say implements bank account. This bank account is an interface. If you control and click on that, it will take you to the interface. So whenever we try to inherit the behavior of an interface in a class, then we use the keyword implements. So always remember, on the left side, if there is a class and it is saying implements, this needs to be an interface. So whenever we talk about interface implementation in class, it's mandatory that all the methods which existed within this interface, we just have the methods signature which existed within this interface, they are bound to be implemented. They're bound to have a body. Okay, so I cannot write a class without implementing these two methods. Understood? So this is one method which the class is having of its own. It's fine, it's not an issue, but the class is again implementing the bank account. So these two methods are mandatory. So it is mandatory to give some sort of implementation for this method. So the savings bank account is going to tell how the withdraw operation is going to be performed. Okay, the savings bank account is going to tell you how the deposit can be done. So say for example, if you have certain logic on any type of bank account, okay, which says that you can withdraw at any you can deposit at any point of time, on any day, at like it's 24/7 available, the bank can accept the money. Okay, that's valid. But the bank says that if it's any type of bank account, it can be saving bank account, it can be salary account, doesn't matter. But whenever you say it's a saving bank account, you can withdraw only if it's a working day. Understood? So only if it's a working day. Say for example, for our use case, the working day is from Monday to Friday. Okay, let's forget the holidays and all. So it's like our system is not going to allow a saving bank account to withdraw some money if it's a Saturday or it's a Sunday. So we need to have that logic over here. So if we put that logic into the bank account, we don't have a bank account interface. We have just the bank account class, and we put the logic into bank account. We directly say that we're not going to allow any type of transaction or any type of withdrawal on the bank account if it's a Saturday or Sunday. Now the problem is that we want to implement it only on savings bank account, but the current account or the salary account, they can be withdrawn on Saturdays and Sundays. So we cannot stop that happening. So that's the reason when we have the bank account as the interface, it has just said that to withdraw, this is the method. This is how the method should look like. Okay. Now the savings bank account is going to tell, okay, how this method looks like is this, but I'm going to tell you what is going to happen within that method. When you call that method on a savings bank account object, then these are the logic which are going to happen. Understood? So now what I'm going to do, I have created one class savings bank account which is implementing the bank account interface. I'm going to create another such class which is going to implement the bank account, but it's going to have different type. So for example, salary account. Okay, this is salary bank account. Salary bank account, and I'm going to implement the interface and bank account. So select this, click on OK, and you can click on finish. Now this is a salary bank account. It has by default all the methods implemented. So if I try to remove these methods as well, it's going to show me some error. If you look into this error, it says that this class should implement, the salary bank account must implement the inherited abstract methods of bank account. Okay, there are two methods, one is withdraw and one is deposit. So it's talking about withdraw only. Once you take the withdraw methods implementation, once you add that implementation, it's going to ask you for the second one. Okay, it has taken all the methods at a time. So the problem is if we don't say like how it is going to deposit the money. But we have created the bank account, salary bank accounts object because we can create it. It's a class. It will have its own constructor. So when we create the constructor and we call the deposit method, and the class has not defined how the deposit should be made, Java is going to fail then. So that's the reason why Java has said in case of interfaces, when you try to extend it, when you try to implement the behavior of interface, when you try to inherit the behavior into a class, at that point of time you just inherit the signature or the property or like the specification of the interface. Okay, and in the class it's mandatory to define how that specification is going to work in the real world. So now we can put the withdraw. Say for example, I'm having in the bank account, I'm having an account name. Let's make it okay. It's an account name. It's by default doesn't have any value. Balance is 0. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's create a salary bank account. In that, I'm going to say okay. I'm going to create the constructor. Okay, you can create the constructor using control space directly, and it will tell me how to create it. Done. Now I have the constructor ready. It's a dummy default constructor. Whenever somebody is creating the salary bank account, it needs to tell him Java. It needs to tell to the constructor what like account name is, what the name of the account is. So by default, let's for example, it's not having any value, not available, or I cannot have like this static field. Okay. String account name. Okay, we cannot assign the values in the super class. By default, they are final. They cannot be changed. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create two variables. They're going to be private because I don't want my details of the bank account to be displayed to someone else. So I'm going to create a private string account name. By default null, private double balance. So whenever somebody is creating the object, you're going to pass the values. This dot account name equal to account name. This dot balance equal to balance. Then now I have created the object of salary bank account. Now there are two more things which I need to do. I need to check if the withdraw. So there is no logic on the withdraw method in the salary bank account. Only we need to check if the balance is less. If the balance is less than amount to withdraw, we can say sysout. If the balance is less than the amount it is trying to withdraw, then we must say that okay, your balance is less or account balance low. So we're not going to update, we're not going to like withdraw or modify the balance, we're not going to remove anything from the balance. So what we're going to do, we're going to do this, and after that we're going to call a return. If that's not the case, what we're going to do, we're going to change the value of balance minus equals to amount to withdraw. So what this is going to do, it is going to, this method, if it is a salary bank account, first I'm going to check if the balance is less than amount to withdraw, it's going to say that a balance is low. Otherwise, it's going to automatically deduct that much amount of money from the balance. Once it is done, it's going to say sysout updated balance. It's done. Similarly, I can put the deposit. It doesn't need, and what I need to do, if just balance plus equals to amount to deposit. Sysout updated balance. Updated balance is this much. Fine. Now so I have created the implementation of salary bank account, and similarly I'm going to create the implementation for bank account that's in the saving bank account. So for example, I have removed every method. It's the purest form of this one. So I'm going to have the same standard for salary for a savings bank account. Okay, the same fields we have, but the constructor name needs to be a savings bank account. Okay, fine. Now that's okay. We have set the values. In the withdraw, what we're going to check, the first logic needs to be checked. If the amount is less, then we're going to throw the error, right? So first of all, I'm going to write the logic over here. If the balance is less than the amount that you want to withdraw, then you're going to get some error. Your account balance is low. And then we are directly deducting the amount that we want to deduct from the balance. But as per the company policy, bank policy, you cannot withdraw the money on a Saturday and Sunday. So for that, we're going to put some logic into this withdraw method. So let's first complete this one. Okay, that's done. Now it's very similar. If you talk about the savings bank account and the salary bank account, both of them work very similarly, but the bank says that on the savings bank account you cannot withdraw anything on Saturdays and Sundays. Then we need to put some logic. Okay, say for example, it's a comment: if today is Saturday or today is Sunday, then don't allow user. Fine. So that's what we need to check now. Fine. So how to check that? In Java, there are different classes which can tell us about the current time, date, month, year, etc. So we're going to take the example of calendar class in Java. Calendar today equals to calendar dot get instant. It is going to give us the current day, date, time, etc. So if you put the mouse on top of that, it's going to give you the documentation. Gets the calendar using the default time zone and local. So as per the system's time zone and everything, it's going to give you the current time. The calendar return based on the current time in the default time zone. Fine. So you're going to get the current time in this one. So what we're going to check, today dot get get calendar dot day of okay day of week. So this method is going to give us the value. So if you call this get method and you pass the day of week, it's going to give us Saturday, Sunday, Monday, etc. So it's an integer value, okay, that we can receive int day equals to this value. Now we're going to check if this day is actually Saturday or Sunday. If day dot equals, okay, it's an int value, so we're going to check with double equals, day equals calendar dot Saturday or day dot equals to calendar dot Sunday. So now this is the logic which I put. If this is the case that we are trying to update the balance on a Saturday and Sunday, then it should show us some error. It should say that hello and the name of the user. This is weekend and you are not allowed. So you are not allowed. Fine. This is what should happen, and at the end we should click on done. then it's return. If it's not the case, then the third thing, like it's going to update the balance. Now you can see the same bank account interface is there, but we have two types of logic on the bank account. Okay, so there is a property of Java which says that polymorphism. Okay, if you heard of polymorphism, it says that a single reference or a single type is going to act differently at different point of time at runtime. So when we have two different objects created of bank account type, maybe a salary account or a saving account, so when we say withdraw, it's going to behave differently on a salary account, and when we say withdraw, it's going to behave differently on saving account. So when we try to see that logic in picture, I can tell you more about how this what do we call it, polymorphism it used to work. So right now we have created an interface and we have created two implementation of that interface, and you have seen how it is working in picture. So next thing is that we are going to write a test class or a runner class in which we are going to, so we're going to create a new class. In this class we're going to call this runner. I'm going to call interface demo runner. So this is the class which we are going to create now. In this class we have a main method. From here we want to execute our code. Now what I want a savings bank account. Savings account equal to new savings bank account. Okay, now it is asking for the account name. Example. Now this is one object which we have created right now. Similarly, I can create another object. I can call this, I can take it a different, saving account 1, saving account 2. Okay, now I've created two saving accounts. Now I can see all the methods that I want to call. Sysout. I can call all the methods that I have defined in the bank account interface. So there is deposit, there is withdraw, and everything is available. So if I want to withdraw, so I'm going to do withdraw amount. So it doesn't have any return type, so I don't need to print that. You can, if you want to see the withdraw, it doesn't have any return type. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to withdraw some 1000. Okay. Now similarly in savings account 2, I'm going to deposit some 2, 3, 4, 5 amount. These are the two actions that I'm going to perform. If I right click, run as Java application, you can see it says that the updated balance is this and this. So basically it is saying the balance is getting updated. If I try to withdraw some amount which is less than that amount, it is updating. So if I give some value which is more than that, okay, this is a value which is quite large than that. Fine. So if I run this, it is going to give us some error. Hello, Aravind, your account balance is low. Okay, if we want to simulate it for a weekend, as right now it's not a weekend, it's Tuesday, so we can put the logic on savings bank account for withdraw if it's a Saturday or Sunday, or we can say it's a Tuesday. Then it will say us that you are not allowed on a Tuesday. So okay, even if the balance is very small amount that it wants, 1, 2, 3, 4 amount, if we try to run this, it is going to give us the error that you are not allowed to withdraw on this day. This is a weekend or some error message, you are not allowed. And the second account is automatically updated. This is how this object of the classes which have implemented the interface, we have created their object and we have called the methods. Now the thing is that if we want to have the interface reference, we have the bank account interface reference. We need to import that. because this class is not in the same package as this the main method class interface demo runner. So I'm importing the class. Once the class is imported, you can see now the object that is created is a saving bank account. Over here, the object that is created is a saving bank account. So actually the object is created on the class constructor, but we can put that into the interface because this interface is the super class or the super of the class. So in Java or in object-oriented concept, a super class or interface can always hold the object that is created from its child class. So whenever we create a child class object, that object can be referred by by a reference which is its super class or super interface reference. Similarly, we can create another object over here. See, this is the saving bank account. I can create a salary account. Salary account, bank account. Now it's done. Saving bank and salary bank accounts are created right now. Okay, let's call this savings account and salary account. Fine. Now these are two objects which I have created. I'm going to call this account 1 and account 2. So you can see two accounts are created, a bank account type. Fine. Okay. So both the time I'm having the reference of the interface, but I'm pointing to a class or the object which is created of a child class or of the implementation of the interface. This is a saving bank account object and this is a salary account object. So in both cases, I am calling the method of the interface. But in this case, in the withdraw, account 1.withdraw and account 1.deposit. Similarly, account 2.withdraw and account 2.deposit. So over here you can see this account 1 or account 2, whatever it is, it's the object or it's the type of bank account interface. Okay, both of them are bank accounts, right? Now I'm calling the method on account 1. Similarly, I'm calling the method on account 2. In both cases, I'm calling the same method, but they're behaving differently because when I say account 1.withdraw, it's basically executing the withdraw method of saving bank account. But when I call account 2.withdraw, it's executing the withdraw method of salary bank account. So when I start running this code, you'll be able to understand. But over here, the main concept is the same reference can act differently in different scenarios, okay, or in different point of time. So for example, if I take this little below, I don't need another account 2. I can directly call account 1. Okay, now this account 1 is pointing to salary bank account. Earlier it was pointing to savings bank account. So you can see the same reference is implementing or working differently in different scenarios. If you try to withdraw the amount on a saving bank account, if you go to saving bank account policy, if you go to saving bank account and withdraw method, it says that if it's a Saturday or a Tuesday, you cannot withdraw. If it's a saving bank account on a Saturday and Tuesday, we cannot withdraw. But on a salary bank account, we can withdraw at any point of time. So the same method on the same interface is called two times, but they're working different. They're behaving differently. So let's execute the code and let's look at it. Plus in the saving account, this is a weekend, you are not allowed. So the first withdraw on account 1, that's a saving bank account that withdraw, it has failed. It has stopped me. But when I tried depositing it, it has happened, no issues. When I called account 1.withdraw on a salary bank account, it has worked. So now this thing and this thing, they're different behavior of the same interface, of the same reference and the same method. So we're trying to do the same thing, but we're facing some like two different implementations, two different logic for that. So that's what we call polymorphism. Polymorphism as in multiple forms of the same reference. This reference is pointing to a saving bank account. After some time, this reference, the same reference, it is pointing to a salary bank account. So that's what we say multiple forms of polymorphism. Hope this is clear. If you have any doubt, let me know.